2,000 years ago, Anthony fell in love with Cleopatra. They feasted on cheese made from the rich, creamy milk of the water buffalo. Yes, one of the most common sources of protein in the world, the water buffalo. Today, we want to take you to lunch as we match up some Vancouver Island water buffalo with native oysters in a truly West Coast BLT. I'm Garret Schack, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Welcome to Cooking on the Coast. We're preparing a water buffalo and oyster lunch you're just going to have to try. First thing we're going to start with is our water buffalo. We have some ground water buffalo here. Some of the purists might tell you to just keep it simple and not add anything else. Me, I kind of like the whole, I guess, meatloafy aspect of this. So we're going to add a little bit of Dijon mustard. There we go. 1 cracked egg. Right in there. Now all this stuff's going to add flavor and also a little extra moisture. The panko crumbs, so this is a Japanese breadcrumb. It's a little bit coarser and a little drier. Fresh garlic, nicely chopped. There we go. Now again, it's going to add flavor but also retain moisture. So those breadcrumbs, those are really going to soak up some of the extra juices here in this water buffalo. Water buffaloes are really simple but delicious protein, very similar to sort of a lean beef or bison. Now, more than 95% of the world population of water buffalo are found in Asia, but we found some on a small corner of Vancouver Island. 35 head of cattle is all they have on that ranch. The flavor of that meat is delicious, high in minerals, less fat content than beef, super nutritious. They're really great. Let's dice up a little bit of onion. Just give it a quick dice. Now, we want a fairly small dice here. See, I'm using a nice sharp knife, cutting along. Go. And there we are. We don't need too much. We don't have a lot of water buffalo here. A little bit more. I'll just push that off to the side. Okay, now we're going to keep mixing this up. There's 2 things that we're doing. One, yes, of course, we're incorporating all the ingredients into it, but also we're sort of developing the proteins in this meat a little bit, and that's going to help it stick together when we go to the frying pan here. All right. Looks pretty good. Some salt, of course. You have to season with salt. Nice sea salt. There we are. Fresh cracked ground pepper. Boom, right in there. Okay, looks great. Now, a couple other things that are kind of the secret ingredients to this. We want to add a little bit of heat, but not too much. So we've just got a little bit of hot sauce here. A few drops. There we go. And some, I can't even begin to pronounce this, but it's Worcestershire sauce or some kind like that. A few drops, there we go. Trust me, everyone pronounces it differently. And off to the side. Now, mix that in. And then we're just about ready to go to the pan. So I am pan searing these burgers today. I think especially with a lean beef or lean water buffalo in this case, you want to use that pan searing. It drips right through the grill. By all means, put it on the barbecue. Take my advice, it's going to turn out way better in a pan. And we're just going to crank up the heat on our pan here a little bit. Perfect. And now the fun part, we get to get our hands dirty. Grab a nice handful. We're looking for about I don't know, let's say like a 6-ounce patty. Okay. And just form it into a nice ball like this. Again, remember I mentioned we were talking about developing the proteins. Well, this is going to do the same thing. Roll it around in our hands nicely. Oh, that's a great size burger right there. Definitely a man-sized burger for sure. Just a little touch of veg oil. There we are. Now we're using a really heavy bottom sort of non-stick pan here. Perderno pan, they're great pans. And then once we got a good heat, we can blast it in there. There we are. There's that sizzle we want to hear. Now we're just going to let that cook until it gets a nice crust. I'll make one more quick patty here. And then I'll run off to wash my hands. Okay, one more on this side. There we are. There we go. It's always really important to wash your hands after handling raw meat. Let's just take a quick peek here. Find the biggest spatula you can, of course. Look at that crust. Looks incredible. Very nice. You can see there's a little bit of fat coming out in the pan, but not too much. Beautiful. Perfect. Okay. Now, on to dressing our burger. This is, of course, the main ingredient, but all the other accompaniments are just about as important. We have a really nice artisan peasant bun here. Lots of seeds and whole grain, that kind of thing. Cut it open. Now, again, this is a really lean meat, so we're gonna add just a little bit of mayonnaise. Mayo on burgers, I think, goes really, really well. By all means, feel free to toast your bun, but in this case, we're using a super fresh bun. I think this is kind of the better way to go. Oh, geez, I'm getting a little heavy-handed there, hey? That's not heart smart at all. There we are. Now, we have some water buffalo mozzarella here as well that I'd like to put on top of those burgers as they cook. Water buffalo milk is actually richer in fat and protein than that of the average cow milk. So, there we go. A couple nice pieces on there. One on here. And one more. Okay, back to our burger. I've got a nice tomato here. Lovely ripe, fresh color. Take the core out. Often in restaurants, they just cut the tip off and throw it away. I find that very wasteful, so I'd rather just take the core out like that and then cut some nice slices. 2 should be good. Put those right here on the bottom. And then some fresh basil. See what we're doing here? We've got buffalo mozzarella, tomatoes, and fresh basil. It's like a caprese salad. Some wonderful fresh leaves. They're so fragrant. Pile them on, don't be shy. One more. Okay. Crack some pepper. Tomatoes and pepper go really well together. We'll have a look at our burgers. One way you can kind of tell if they're done is just by breaking it open a little bit and having a peek inside. Looks like we're getting really close there. Maybe just another minute or so. And the warmth of that burger is heating through and melting that mozzarella ever so slightly. We don't want it to over melt so that it just drips out into the pan, but just enough so it warms it through. And then we can take this right to our plate. What I'm gonna do to make this a little easier is pop that over. Just got some lovely beet chips here. Burgers and chips, of course, they go really well together. And now our burger is ready. Slide it right off. Some of that fat drip off and right on top of our bun. Perfect. Of course, top it up. There we are. Little homemade pickle. Put a skewer through here so it doesn't fall apart. And there we have it. Fresh water buffalo burger with basil and tomato and buffalo mozzarella. We'll be back to finish our lunch preparations later in the show. But first, right after the break, we're getting out of the studio. You'll want to stick around for that. Coming up on Cooking on the Coast, we're checking out Taco Fino food truck. Welcome back to Cooking on the Coast. We're here on location with the Taco Fino food truck. And with me is Josh Carlson, the proprietor. Josh, what can you tell me about the Taco Fino food truck?
Well, the company started in Fino. We built a name around our signature fish taco, and since then we've expanded to Vancouver, Victoria. The menu's expanded, and now we're in Victoria here, and this is our first summer.
Very cool. It sounds like you got a loyal following.
Yeah, we've had a lot of luck with our following so far.
Nice. So fish tacos on the menu today?
Fish tacos on the menu.
Let's go fire one up.
All right.
The burritos and tacos are amazing, and they're quick, and yeah.
We're behind the scenes on the food truck with Josh. Josh, I've been hearing all kinds of stuff about this fish taco. How did we get started?
Well, we're going to take a few pieces of North Pacific lingcod that we like to use. We feel it's a bit of more sustainable fishery around these parts.
Nice sustainable fish. That's
great. We're going to just coat it in our tempura batter here.
So a tempura batter, hey? That's something a little unique for a fish taco, I think.
Yeah, I think that sort of sets it apart from a lot of other ones.
What can you tell me about the batter?
It's a secret recipe for the batter.
You guys and your food carts and all your secrets. Hey?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get any of this information?
That's all we have is our secrets. Then we're going to go with the fish into our hot fryer here.
It's going to make it nice and crispy, hey?
That's right.
I notice the batter is not super, it's not really thick, so you're going to get a really light, crispy batter on there.
That's right.
That's great. Quite the setup you have here. So the fryer in one corner, and then now you work mostly off the flat top here?
Yeah, that's right. Really have to be set up for maximum efficiency in such a small space.
I bet. cramped. It gets a little cramped in here. You get too many people going on, hey?
Yeah, you know, have to have a good team.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. So do you use corn tortillas or is this a flour tortilla?
This is a 6-inch flour tortilla. They're actually made in Vancouver.
Oh, nice.
Company, yeah.
Cool.
And we're just going to give that a quick toast on the flat top.
Now, how long do you cook your fish for? Because this is one thing, you end up with overcooked fish and
Yes.
it's miserable, right? So do you have a secret time or do you just listen or what do you?
I go by color personally,
right.
as scientific as that is.
Fair enough.
But it's probably about 3-4 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed the chunks weren't super big there, so.
Yeah, just helps speed it up.
I had it for the first time into Fino, and I was happy to see it come down island.
Yeah, the truck originated in Fino, expanded to Vancouver, and now we've come to Victoria.
Yeah,
First year here, yeah.
Yeah, we ran into some loyal customers there a little bit earlier that said you're stacking up to the Fino name, I guess. So that's great.
That's good. That's what we hope to do.
Perfect. Okay, so now we move on to assembly.
Now we're gonna move on to assembly. Fish looks like it's just about done.
let it drain a little bit. Wow,
Yeah.
you can hear how crispy it is when it hits the bowl there. That's fantastic.
So
Fish in first.
Yeah, fish in first. To the tortilla.
Look at that. See, a nice thin coating. Too often they're just so thick with batter, hey? Like,
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That looks great.
Want the fish to be the star, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we're gonna take some chipotle mayo that we make.
Oh, delicious.
A little bit of fresh shredded cabbage.
Nice. It's really finely shredded too.
Yeah.
I think that's probably part of the key, isn't it?
That's definitely part of the key. And it acts as a buffer against the salsa to keep the fish from getting soggy.
Now, this isn't your average salsa out of a jar, is it?
No, this is a salsa fresca that we make ourselves. It's Roma tomatoes, pickled jalapenos, red onion, cilantro.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Then we just take a lime wedge for a garnish, and that's the fish taco.
That's the fish taco. Hey, it looks so fresh and refreshing and simple.
Yeah, the simplicity I think is the key. Just a few ingredients coming together.
Perfect. Yeah. So now, would you give it a squeeze here?
Yeah, I'd give it a squeeze of the lime.
alrighty.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Roll it up. All right, this is my favorite part right here. Here we go. Oh man, you could hear the crunch of that fish. Incredible, Josh. I mean, a little bit of heat from that chipotle mayo and then the freshness of those tomatoes. You hit it on the head. That is spot on, buddy.
Thank you.
Really, really good. Wow, Josh, I'm not letting this go uneaten. I'll tell you that for sure. Thanks very much for having me on your food truck
Thanks
here
for
today.
coming by.
Yeah, I look forward to finishing this up.
All
Thanks
right.
very much, Josh. It really is delicious. Too bad you guys can't have any, eh? Hey, we'll be right back with more Cooking on the Coast. Welcome back to the kitchen. We're preparing our lunch episode, which is the water buffalo and the oyster. But we're not just doing any normal oyster. We're doing pan-fried oysters with a BLT twist to it. So we've got lettuce, tomato, and of course, bacon. First thing we want to do here is crack a few eggs and whisk them up. There's one. Fire that into the garbage. There's two, making sure not to get any shells in there. And now give it a good whisk. There we are. I remember whisking eggs like this. One of the first kitchen jobs I ever had was with my mom in the kitchen whisking eggs for omelets in the morning. It was great. Now, we have some local West Coast oysters. Look at that. Don't they look fantastic? We want to take it into our breading station. So first we start with some seasoned flour. We've put a little bit of salt in there. Not too much because oysters are from the sea after all. There we go. And now we want to do a wet, dry hand combination here. So keeping one hand dry, so we're using this hand for the dry ingredients, and this one will be for the wet ingredients, okay? So we'll just put a little bit of flour on top of those guys, and then into our egg wash. Now with the wet hand, we can toss it around in the yolk a little bit, in the eggs here. There we are. And then straight over here to the panko crumbs. Now panko, I think I mentioned earlier in the episode, panko are a Japanese breadcrumb. They're just a really dry breadcrumb that's fairly coarse, so they make your crust and your breading really, really crispy. So now with the dry hand, we switch back over here and we coat these guys all really nicely. Okay, next important step to frying an oyster is the temperature of your pan. Today we're doing shallow frying, so that doesn't mean we're dropping it into a big vat of fat and bubbling everywhere. We have a kind of a shallow pan here with a nice heavy bottom so it retains heat, and we're just gonna dip it in there. Again, not too much heat, and we don't want to overcrowd the pan. Oh, almost, not quite. Now, don't rush this part. You can see it's starting to sizzle, but if we were to drop that in there, it would just start absorbing fat, so we don't want that. Nice, you can see how it's starting to bubble right away around our oysters. That's perfect. Next one. And we'll do all three. The trick here is always to lay the oysters away from you. That way, if there's any fat that splashes, it doesn't get back on you or burn your fingers. Take it, I learned that from experience. Now that sizzling sound is what we're looking for. That means that the moisture in there is cooking away, and we're starting to get some nice crispiness on them. So we're looking for a golden brown color on both sides, but you can see it's not completely submerged. That's why it's called shallow frying. We're not actually doing these things in the deep fat fryers. All right, we're getting close. I'm gonna turn the heat down just a little bit. We don't want to scorch them, and we don't want to overcook the oyster. An overcooked oyster gets kind of rubbery, becomes like a little bouncy ball of the sea. All right, start popping them out here. And we're gonna put them on this piece of paper towel here just to blot them. Try to absorb a little bit of the fat that may be stuck on the sides or stuck onto them. And as with anything that comes out of the fryer, we're gonna wanna season them right away with a little sea salt. Not too much. Again, oysters are already a little bit salty. There we go. Okay, this is going to be our spread for the BLT. A little hot sauce. Again, we like our heat. Oysters love the spice. We got a sriracha hot sauce. It's just a garlic chili paste. And we're mixing it with just some straight mayonnaise. Some fresh cracked pepper. There we are. That heat will get you in different spots in your mouth and will linger a little bit longer. And now we'll open this up. I got a nice hoagie bun here, super fresh. Again, when you're working with fresh bread, it's not as important to toast it. Just open it right up and add our mayo. Now the BLT part, so bacon, lettuce, tomato. We need our lettuce and tomato. Got some iceberg lettuce here. I love using iceberg lettuce. It's really crisp, it's refreshing. You can shred it up. There we are. Now for the tea part of it, lovely heirloom tomato, beautiful and ripe. Look at the color on this guy. You can tell, because when you slice into it, here, let me get that out of the way. When you slice into it here, you'll see lots of meat in there, just a few seeds. Just gorgeous, I love that. And probably, we got 3 oysters, let's do 3 nice slices. We'll lay those out. And of course, the key to our BLT, the B, we need the bacon. Lovely crisp, double smoked bacon here, nice thick cut. We're gonna squish that down just a little bit so it helps as a platform for our burger, or our BLT rather. There we are. And our oysters. Pop these guys right on. 2, 3, and let's close it up. Wow, look at that. That's gonna be a mouthful, I'll tell you. Over onto our plate. There we go. Of course, finish it off with a pickle. Nice homemade pickle. And there we have it. Our lunch episode is all set. We've got an oyster BLT and our water buffalo burger. Lunch is all set. So you think water buffalo and oysters are an interesting pair? Well, let's see what beverage pairing we have. Today we have Gary Lindsay from Driftwood Brewery. How you doing?
Hey, Garrett, good to see you again, man.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for inviting me back.
No, my pleasure, my pleasure. So we got a couple of different sandwiches here, and I see you've brought 2 distinctly unique beers that will go with each one.
We brought a couple from different continents. We've got a North American style, North American pale ale, and we've got a farmhand ale, which is a Belgian origin beer, sort of a farmhouse style. So getting the smells that you are producing out of this kitchen really got my senses tickling here, and I've thinking of farmhand saison is a real savory flavor accompanying the water buffalo. I think there's some really neat notes of sourness and pepper that will actually accentuate some of the flavors in the meat and the gaminess in the meat.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the water buffalo and then work our way over to the oysters?
I think so, yeah. I think we'll go with the savory flavors first.
Well, you open that. I'll
Sure.
cut this guy in half here.
Sounds great.
I know, it's kind of weird too. A couple of guys, a couple of strapping guys like us sharing a burger.
Share a burger. I don't know how I'm gonna get my
Hopefully
mouth
nobody
around that
sees
one.
this.
I won't tell.
Oh, look at that. Perfectly cooked.
Oh, lovely.
Nice. Oh, wow, you can really smell the aromas off this beer.
Right, actually, as soon as you cut into the burger too, it opens up the flavors.
Yeah.
But,
Well, a little bit of the basil, like, you know, that sweetness and the pepperiness.
Brilliant.
Oh, to be honest, I haven't met a beer I didn't like yet.
No, this is
I don't know about you, but
sometimes you just get them lined up right.
yeah, it's true,
All right,
right? Let's
so
give
let's
this
dig
one
in.
burger a try. This is gonna be a serious
Oh,
bite.
man.
Should I watch you have it first? I
Here
don't
you
know.
go.
So juicy, hey?
That's amazing. I didn't expect the water buffalo to be quite so moist, but
Well, that's from adding the breadcrumbs in there and a little bit of
it
the.
retains all the moisture.
That's exactly it. Yeah, it holds it all in there, and
that's-
searing it too.
Oh, for sure. That's brilliant.
So what's next? I'm gonna eat this a bit later. We got to get into this oyster.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
All right.
All right, let's try the next one.
So
Don't worry, they're not going anywhere.
No, everyone hands off here. So with the oyster, what we have with Driftwood Pale Ale, it's an American style pale ale. It really focuses on the citrus notes of the hops,
Yep.
nice and bright and clean and citrusy. Quite alive flavors, and they really cut through some of the richness of the oyster and the bacon.
Nice.
So I think it'll sort of help clean the palate in between and give you a
Don't
nice.
pale ales also hold up to a little bit of spice as well?
They do actually quite well. And then I noticed there's some sriracha mayo on the spread on this. So
Oh wow, I love that smell of the hops right off the nose. Like just really incredible. Lovely. Beautiful pour too.
yeah,
might add.
not bad. All right,
Senor,
cheers.
one for you.
All right,
Here we go
that looks
again.
good.
Hey?
All right,
That does look
We
great.
gotta do it together.
Cheers. Oh wow, super crispy, eh?
Really crispy.
I love that.
And the oyster is cooked perfectly. Actually.
Nice, I'm glad. Yeah.
It is. It's dynamite.
Oh, and a wonderful pairing with that pale ale. Thanks so much, Gary. Thanks again for
Couldn't agree
being here.
more.
Like
My
always
pleasure.
great to share a beer and a meal with you.
Cheers. It is my pleasure.
Check out our website where you'll find more information on today's show and maybe a few surprises. I'm Garret Schack. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to savor the flavor. Now we have some decisions to make here. What do we eat first?